Okay, now, I did say a couple of days ago that I was going to do a video discussing and explaining my reasons as to why I sold Black Ops 2. Now, I know a lot of you said I didn't need to do it and I shouldn't feel the need to explain myself, it should be my decision, XYZ. That's true, that's 100% true, and I really appreciate the fact that everybody supported me through it, and some people were worried that my channel wasn't going to grow, but everything seems to have been okay, and I really respect what you guys have done. But essentially at the same time, Black Ops 2 is still a popular game for some reason or another, and there's still one or two of you that wonder why I did it and don't quite understand. A lot of people think it's down to a hate for the game, a hate for Vonderhaar, or whatever. Well, I'm going to kind of explain my reasons why, and hopefully it'll become a bit more understandable. And hopefully some good might come out of this, because I know a few people have said to me, I'm not sure whether to get rid of my copy, what do you think, what should I do? So hopefully after listening to this, if you guys or some of you guys are feeling exactly the same way that I was, maybe I can give you a nudge in the right direction and it will possibly help you. Or maybe not, it's down to yourself, it's all down to personal preference, but this is my story. It's like one of those daytime shows. This is Apocalypse's story. Okay, now I'm going to give you a little scenario. Let's just say for the sake of argument that you go to work or you go to college or school and there's a route to get there. It's not accessible by car or public transport or any means like that. The only way to get to where you're going is through a wooded area. Now day by day your journey to and from where you're going is one quite difficult. It's quite awkward. Now when you set out on your journey and you get to that point where you have to cross through that wooded area, as you approach you get this feeling of, I guess, sickness maybe, and a little bit of anxiousness just as you're coming close to it, and a bit of dread, because you've got a feeling you know what's going to happen when you go through this point, but you're kind of hoping that it won't. So you embark on, and as you walk through, just as you guessed, you start clambering and getting caught climbing over a lot of brambles and rough wild foliage on the floor. Once you get past that, you start getting stung by stinging nettles and thorns. Then as you eventually negotiate your way past that and get through the muddy footpath part that ends up sinking your feet 10 inches underground and soaking them for the rest of the day, you approach an old wooded fence that's covered in barbed wire and nails, which you have to mantle over, and you end up getting your clothes caught and all the rest of it. So, by the time you eventually come out the other end of this little journey, you're miserable, you're tired, you're angry, and your mood is quite low. However, every now and then, and only on a very rare occasion, maybe one journey out of every 100, you walk down that similar route and the sun has dried out the mud on the floor and made it a solid ground to walk on. Some travellers or ramblers have walked through with their sticks and beaten back all the foliage and nettles. And the farmer decided to leave the gate open for once so you don't need to climb over. So the journey just seems to be a little bit easier. But then when you go back the next day in that same element of hope, you find that it's all back to square one and you end up getting soaked, stung, pissed off and suicidal. However, one day you sit down and you have a think and you remember that there's actually another pathway that you can take. So you decide to let the chips fall where they may and venture onto that one, and all of a sudden you find that your journey now has become one that's a lot easier. The pathway is not even muddy, it's solid, it's been gravelled, it's nice to walk along, it's smoother, there's no brambles, there's no nettles to sting yourself on. There's no sharp, jaggedy fence with barbed wire and nails on it, it's just a clear, straight path. And it's a lot nicer to look at and makes you feel comfortable. What are you going to do in the future? Do you go back to that horrible route that makes you feel depressed and angry and miserable and ruins your day? Or from then on do you decide to go down the nice route where there's pretty things to look at and it's a comfortable journey? Just hold on to that thought for a moment. Now, as I've explained before, and a lot of you guys know this, a lot of you may not know this, I'm actually a family man. I have a wife, I have a 5-year-old daughter, I have a house, I have a mortgage, I have a full-time career. I've got things going on in my life like an everyday normal person. So what I generally tend to do is I allocate times of the day to myself to get whatever done. If I'm working full-time, I have to work. Then when I finish work, I come home, I spend time with my family, I get the little bits and pieces done around the house, everybody goes to bed, and I might have a little squeeze of 1 or maybe 2 hours to have a bit of gaming time. To do commentaries is always quite hard because there's people in the house, and we only live in a small house. We live in a shoe. We are the people that live in the shoe at the top of the hill. But every now and then I might get a day off, which is during the week, so everybody's at work, my daughter's at nursery, and I've got the house to myself. So I have to allocate times to get my shit done. So that'll probably involve me saying, okay, I'll have about 3 hours to get the washing, the cleaning, the general household bits done, check the bills, phone relevant people and sort out my life as it is. That'll then leave me maybe an hour to an hour and a half to get some gaming time in. Hopefully during that time I can pull in a little bit of a decent gameplay that I might record, and I can use that for a commentary. So then finally I'm left with my rendering time. Get onto Vegas, pull in that gameplay, cut it down, do a commentary over it, add all the bits and pieces, colour corrections, render, upload. There you go YouTube, you've got another video. My issue with Black Ops 2 was that hour and a half that I would incorporate into getting a nice little decent gameplay would sometimes run into 2 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Because of maybe, I don't know, the connection wasn't right, or I was getting bugged by, I can't even say the words. I'm going to say something that sounds like it. I was getting bugged by something called flag flomp inflation. I can't say the words. I'm so sorry, I just can't go back to saying them words ever again in my life. So yeah, I would end up spending too much time trying to play or trying to get any kind of gameplay or get anything that I might feel worthy of putting on my channel. And I know it doesn't matter, and I know people say just post anything, it's cool. Guys, I am a perfectionist. I'm as near to a perfectionist as you can possibly get. And if I haven't got anything that I feel is potentially worthy of an upload, I won't upload. If I haven't got a commentary that I feel is maybe worthy of your ear, then I won't put anything up. I won't just talk crap for no reason. I have to have something to upload to keep you guys entertained. That's just how I am. That's how I work. So if I end up spending 4 hours of a day trying to get a gameplay and end up deleting all the memory off my hard drive, guess what? There's going to be no upload that day. And not only that really, the amount of anxiety, rage, anger and almost depression that would add on to my life, it was starting to affect my mood, which in turn was starting to affect my family life. Because I've just spent the last 4 hours being miserable and I haven't got anything done, I feel like I've wasted my day. I haven't got to do the things I want to do that make life important to me. So therefore when family would come home and hopefully look forward to being greeted by a smiling husband and father on the door, they would be greeted by this sour-faced giant standing in the doorstep who looks as though he's just found out that his dad's taken a job in Vegas as a pole dancer. You know, my mood and my temperament were just completely getting affected by this. And for me, when you're miserable and when you're unhappy in a situation, you take yourself out of that situation and you put yourself in another situation that makes you feel happy. And that is exactly what I've done. I've taken that other route. I've gone the journey where the path is smooth and there's no brambles and there's birds and woodpeckers and squirrels to look at. Everything's nice to me now. Everything's serene and warm and fuzzy and spongy. Admittedly, once or twice when I do walk down that path, I might trip over and drop my ice cream because I've probably been commando lunged or noob tubed by somebody with danger close. But you know what? I've learned to accept it and it doesn't bother me too much. Now I'm a happier man. Now I can upload more frequently. Now I don't feel the need to squeeze so much time into playing and less time into uploading, so I can crack on and grow my YouTube channel and do the hobby that I enjoy. Because at the end of the day, guys, realistically, this is all down to enjoyment. This is all down to your relaxation, and it's supposed to be something that you get pleasure out of. And if you're not getting pleasure out of it, you might want to rethink your strategy. Because, let's be honest, if you don't like getting your balls busted, then you gotta stop hitting them with a hammer. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks for listening, guys, and thanks for your continued support on the channel. I truly appreciate it, I genuinely do. And I will see you later. Apocalypse done.